Hello everybody, hopefully you've been working really hard on creating some different textures and tonal scales with your pens at home. I'm just going to demonstrate some in case any people are feeling stuck, and you might even use these techniques with another drawing media. It doesn't have to be pens, you could use pencils, whatever, to create the same sorts of textures. So one of the techniques that you could use if you're trying to create blending with a pen is to do little scribbles. So just to show you, if you move your pen in a sort of up and down figure eight sort of direction, and you continue doing that again and again and again, and you hold your pen on a bit of an angle, so we're not letting the ink run out too much, we're letting it be a little bit faded, and we're building up darkness through layering, not through letting the ink pour out, then we can create a gradual change in tone. And from a distance, this can look really, really cool if you do artworks that are black and white and with really high contrast. So you can create a tonal scale that fades out quite easily just by turning your pen on the side and encouraging the ink to run out slowly. So there's one example of a technique you might use with a pen. The other one is stippling. So that's when we're using lots of tiny little dots, and we're slowly going lighter and spreading them out further to try and get them to create a gradual change in tone. Some people will even hold two pens in their hand at once sometimes, or even hold a pen in each hand to do this technique. If you're using this technique, you're probably going to blunt your pen very quickly, so you will need to have a few spares, and it's not going to work so well with like a ballpoint pen. It needs to be one of these fine tip pens. So there's another technique for creating gradual change in tones. Another one is cross-hatching. When I'm cross-hatching, I don't like to do my cross-hatching perfectly one way and then the other. I like to have a little bit of freedom in the way those strokes change direction, because I think it looks more natural and I actually think it makes for a better artwork. So you would basically just start to spread out your marks. This is great for bigger artworks, and you would let it slowly fade off to nothing, same as we did with those other techniques. So the more layering and the closer together your marks are, the darker it will look, and the less layering and the more spread out your marks, the lighter it will look. So you can use these techniques with any sort of drawing or painting media to create different effects. So you can see how just with one pen I've already created 3 different effects. So you can be very creative with the way you present your drawing. If you combine different textures for different sections of your drawing, you might end up with something that's really visually interesting. For example, if I were painting or drawing a landscape, I might use little dots where I've got like the soil and the dirt, and I want to create that sort of texture in the ground. I might use swirls to create the leaves. I might use cross-hatching to show the bark, or maybe the grass. It doesn't matter what you're using the technique for, but the variety of techniques is what helps to make your artwork look interesting. Some people might just use lines. So they're doing longer lines, then medium lines, then really short lines, and that's going to help to create a change in tone. Curving your lines and doing the same thing again, slowly spreading them out. Curving your lines will give the effect of there being fur or hair or something. So if you were doing an animal, you'd want to work with lots and lots of tiny little lines, and depending on the type of fur will depend on how long those marks are, how curved they are. So that's another way that you can create gradual change in tone. Another really interesting thing that you can do is you can take water and you can actually make your pen ink run. So if you didn't have any watercolor paints at home but you really wanted to do a painting, that's an option for you. So there's some different techniques using just a pen. I hope that when you guys play around with your pencils or your oil pastels or whatever it is that you've got at home, I hope that you will try out some different techniques and see what technique works best for you. Please email me if you get stuck and if you have any questions. Otherwise, all the best. Thank you very much for watching.